got started in bodybuilding after playing, actually did my first show in 2010. Came out of playing high school football, had a subdural hematoma, a brain bleed. Basically told me that I could continue playing football, but I'd have a decent risk of having another brain bleed. So decided to actually go over to powerlifting. Started powerlifting with Rick Hussey at Big Iron Gym. Got up to about 260 pounds when I was 20 years old. And we ended up, I had a trainer come up to me at a gym here in Omaha, Nebraska, and he's like, you know, you got a pretty good frame for a 20-year-old. Have you ever thought about doing bodybuilding? I was intrigued by it. The powerlifting aspect, I've had 2 torn labrums in each shoulder too, so I kind of one of those things where I had to watch what I was doing there. So I decided to go ahead and switch over to bodybuilding, and that was in, like I said, 2010. I just turned 21 before my first show. We started me out, and in 16 weeks I went from about 255 pounds down to 176 pounds, and we dieted me pretty dang hard for that. And that was the first experience I had with bodybuilding. Came in as a middleweight, ended up winning my class, lost the overall to a pretty good competitor, local competitor named Jeff McRae, who's placed pretty high in national level shows, and pretty much got hooked after that. But then I ended up having a college football coach contact me, so decided to go play college ball. Played college ball for about 2 years, had another subdural hematoma, had another brain bleed playing football, and was told if I ever get hit in the head in the right place, I can die. It's 70% chance I die on the spot. So that quit that for me. Went back to bodybuilding, and now have been competitively bodybuilding since 2013. So did my first national level show, junior nationals, in 2014, and this will be my second road back to junior nationals. I think I was nervous. I got lucky. I started working with Matt Porter, who's a pretty good coach in the industry, actually probably one of the best coaches in the industry. And he had pretty good confidence in me as far as how I was looking and whatnot. And I honestly didn't have a clue as to what I was stepping into when I went to junior nationals. I knew I was going in condition. I knew that I had the look that I wanted as far as conditioning wise. And then I stepped backstage and see the size that these guys have. Maybe not as extremely conditioned, but round and full, and the amount of muscle that's on a frame as a light heavyweight is insane, especially when you got guys that are 5'5", 5'6" at 198 instead of 5'8", 5'9" like I am. So the only time that I really kind of had it was an eye-opening experience is when I was backstage, standing next to those guys and kind of looked around and came to weigh-ins and stand behind a middleweight and he's looking like a light heavyweight at a local level. That's definitely an eye-opening experience. I think that's one thing that I've really kind of taken into consideration is there's no reason to even think about going to a national level show, whether it's actually nationals or North Americans or whatever it might be, unless you can place in the top 3 at junior nationals, simply because the guys at junior nationals are the best of the best there. And they can go to a national level show and place 10th. So, it was definitely an eye-opening experience going to junior nationals in 2014. So I actually met Matt Porter through a good friend of mine, Curtis Brown. Curtis actually competed in the June show of 2013, and he came to the show and he was more conditioned than I've ever seen anybody in my entire life. And I said, dude, what did you do? And he goes, well, I worked with Matt Porter. And this is before Matt had become like a really big name, before he really got known as one of the top prep coaches in the industry. Um, and so I reached out to Matt literally that day, and I said, I'd love to work with you. I saw Curtis Brown in person. That's who referred me to you. He looked insane, and I want that kind of look. It was probably about 2 months after that that Matt and I finally got together and started working together, and literally from that point on, have been working together since, whether it be for the pre-contest going into junior nationals, or now that back in 2014 are now doing junior nationals this year as well. So we've been kind of working together for a good 3 years now, off season and in season. So I actually am the product development manager and inventory manager for Rexius Nutrition, and then on top of that, I also personal train clients and do some nutrition services for clients as well, whether that's weight loss or whatnot. Um, I've been personal training now since 2010, so that's kind of one of those things where I'm basically up about 5 or 6 o'clock every morning. I have clients for the first 3 hours of my day between 6 and 8, or 6 and 9, or 5 and 8, somewhere in that area. And then I come into the stores from about 10 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then I'll have some clients at night as well, too, after I get done with training. So kind of most of the time my days are anywhere from 12 to 14-hour days between the stores and clients. I think mentally, for me, it's one of those things where I like to continually push myself, and so using a program like this, along with having guidelines, because obviously my brain's kind of mush at this point in time, having a guideline to kind of show what I need to do and how I need to push, definitely helps out quite a bit. The other aspect is I have massive respect for John Meadows, and guys like that in the industry who I think not only are revolutionizing the way that training is done, but then are also very smart about how they train, and how they create their programs. So, for me, this is my thing. Going into contest prep, I don't think the workouts necessarily need to change any bit. I think if you don't stress the muscle and you don't continually push as heavy a weight as possible for your body and do the same type of workouts that you were doing in your off season, I don't think that you're going to maintain the lean muscle tissue going into the show. So why would I change my training program or training style going into a show? I think you should continue to push your body, obviously within reason, because I mean your joints are getting dried out and your body does hurt and your energy levels are low and you're in a calorie deficit and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I think using these training methods has definitely helped to, one, conditioning wise has helped improve that, and then two, has also helped to keep fullness and roundness in the muscle in comparison to previously where I have done, switched my training going into the shows and gotten a little bit more intense and little lower rest break and higher rep and so on and so forth. I've actually felt and seen a difference this time from sticking with the same style of workouts that I was doing in my off season. I'd like to thank Matt Porter, of course. I'd like to thank Tim Rexius from Rexius Nutrition, my sponsor for all these shows. I'd like to thank my wife for actually putting up with me this whole time, because it's not an easy process to deal with somebody who's dieting down. Also wanted to go ahead and thank Ed Koo, not only for the insane squat portion of the workout, because that was all his mastermind, saying do 5 reps of 335 every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, which sucked. But then also for the Iron Rebel knee braces, I should say, knee sleeves. Those things worked like a charm. So big thank you goes out to Ed Koo as well.